Hey everyone, today I'm going to be doing an unboxing, speed build and review of the Deep Space Rocket and Launch Control. This is LEGO City Space Set 60228 and was released just this month. This one comes in at a whopping 837 pieces. Now it's not huge, but there's some big pieces in here as you can see through there. You also get the roller coaster used as a sort of monorail system in this one, and it's got some iPhone Play features as well, so it's kind of like getting towards the hidden side stuff that's coming out later this year. So I'm going to start right now by showing you around the box. Obviously this is the front where we've got the launch rocket here with the launch system here. Now this whole base can be moved and taken away and positioned however you want in there. We've got the rover kind of vehicle over here with the new for this year arm piece, hand grabber piece. We've got a little robot here that's going to help with exploring Mars. We've got the roller coaster obviously with the cart that delivers the astronaut ready for takeoff. We've got the command center over here with the NASA inspired walls. Now what you can't see there is that's actually coming off of a phone, which is something we're going to have a look at in a bit more detail. Down here we've got a little gate so the car doesn't go all the way around to the launch site if you're not ready. You get 6 minifigures and the robot. So we've got 2 astronauts, we've got a couple of the admin kind of launch control people, we've got a scientist, and we've got an engineer helping set everything up. If we go around the back here we can see a bit more of what's going on in this set. We have the rocket separates into the boosters, the main stage, the orbital stage which has a satellite in it, and then the re-entry stage. In the control center you can see the NASA inspired, literally NASA inspired control center there. Now incidentally, in the notes for this set, NASA, they do say they used NASA's launch vehicle as inspiration for this, and if you look at their current one they're looking at for Mars missions, it is a heavy booster rocket like this one, not SpaceX or anything like that. This is their own design and it does look not dissimilar to this. They have taken a lot of cues from it. The boosters are a lot bigger, but it's actually, you can see what they mean by it. Obviously it's a real rocket that goes in space and it's a lot bigger and not toy scale, but you can see the separation here. It's a nice set. I'm really looking forward to this one, and as I've said previously, when LEGO announced that they were doing these space sets again, I was over the moon. See what I did there? Boom, tsh, dad jokes ahoy. Now let's open up this box and see what we get inside this. I will say I like the space bit they've added to the city here, where you normally get the train conductor and the Mars, because this is all about Mars, by the way. It's not about going to the moon, it's about going to Mars. Let's open up my usual end of the box. One snip, 2 snips, and we're in. I'm expecting quite a lot of bags in this, and they will all be numbered obviously because it's a city set. There we have it. Lots and lots of bags. So there's bag 1. There we got, excuse the noise, noisy. Oh, all that track supports. Lots and lots of pieces. Here we have so many supports, more roller coaster, and then there's the 2 big bay pieces. I didn't realize they were actually single pieces. That's kind of cool. And then there's the big launch piece, so that'll be what the command center sits on. Bag 3, another one of those pieces, a smaller. What have we got here? Bag 4, another one. The boosters, loads of stuff. Looking at, there's bag 2, so you get straight into building the rocket quite early on in this set. And then bag 8, that's the last bag in there. Yep, so that looks like the one that finishes off. That's the one that's got the roller coaster cars in it. Alright, there we have it. That is a lot of pieces. Let's just zoom down so you can see that in a bit more detail. There we go. Now I'm going to get into building this one right now, so stick with me guys. I'm going to do a quick speed build, and when I've finished I will do a review of this set. Show you the manuals that come with this one. Got a sticker sheet there, some nice stickers, but not too many, notice. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, instruction manuals. That's a pretty good value set in my books. 7 instruction manuals. Right, I'm going to start building now. See you on the flip side. Here we have the finished model. As you can see, I've had to keep the zoom quite far out on this because it is quite big. Given the size of the rocket and the monorail track, it does take up a large footprint because of those two things, but I think overall it's a really good looking finished set. When I was building this, I enjoyed the entire process, and I think what you build at the end of this looks really, really good to me. I like how they've broken it up. Now it's almost sort of modular in the fact that everything is broken down, and you've got the command center, you've got the rocket over here, you've got a little exploration sort of rocky piece over there, so you can have a bit of a play with this as you go through it. There's a lot to get through in this set, so I will say there's a few bits that did surprise and impress me. And as I go through this review, make sure you let me know in the comments any thoughts or questions you have about it, and I'll do my best to answer them or reply to you what you're thinking. So in terms of the build for this set, it's got a lot of quite big pieces in it, and it's not like massive details, but it's quite involved. There's a few finicky bits, especially around the command center over here and the launch pad. The rocket's quite sort of modular in how it builds, like it's quite repetitive, but again, not too bad because there's only two chunks to it really, and the nose cone. And the nose cone has a lot more in it than I expected. When you're going through it, you get one small sticker sheet that's got about 10 stickers on it, so it's not too bad. Now, I was talking to someone who did ask about the solar panels on the satellite. They are not printed, unfortunately. There's not many printed pieces in this, just the computer screens and the control panel you get in a couple of places. The way you build it up, the first bag is the rover and the robot, then the next few bags is the rocket itself, so you build that really early on, and it is quite an impressive beast, I have to say. Next up you get the launch pad, which had something that actually surprised me how it's done, and again I'll look forward to showing you that one. Then you get the command center, which is quite a lot bigger than I expected, and then finally the monorail. Before I go on, if you want to see how the set's built in real time, I have uploaded the video, which is linked up in the top corner here. That's just me, the Lego pieces, and no interruptions. Just a nice calm build, and as I said, it was a fun build, so feel free to watch that one and enjoy it, just to have in the background and keep you calm. This is the robot. He's a cute little build. I do like a few details on this. This is just a all sides studded piece on its side. You get this face piece on the front. You get this red panel, which I'll show you in a second. He also carries a couple of tools for the astronauts. They are going to need this gas-powered electric saw on Mars, I'm absolutely certain. Sorry, I had to point that out. And then I like the way they've used the lollipop pieces for the wheels there to actually make it look like it can go in any direction. I think that's really cool. And then you've obviously got the arms off the head there for picking things up. So I think this is, I'm guessing they've based the design of this off of something, because it looks really cool and quite practical. Imagine you could store something on the back there as well. Now if I put this in front of that, you should see hopefully the map come through. Next is the rover. Now I'm going to have to start by showing you my favourite thing about this one, which is it goes in any direction. Look at that, how cool is that? What fun. Those are just landing gear pieces from the aeroplanes they've used for the wheels, which is a great use for them, I think. But look at that, it's absolutely flawless in how it moves. It's great. So down the front here I've got a couple of gold ingots, because you need gold ingots on spaceships and things, but obviously it looks like the insulation they use. You get this single control panel here, which is where the driver can sit and control this buggy. Just behind the driver you have this small storage area for putting the geodes, which we'll look at in a minute. And there's this new for this year piece, which is this robotic arm, which has this pincer movement here with the white elastic band there for springing it shut, and you can see it just sort of hinges, it just goes around the hinge there to make it spring back down. I really like that piece. A few people have complained that this piece comes with a white elastic band. I don't really think it matters that much, but you know, I'm sure you can change it if you want. There's probably some reason they didn't, like it might be brittle in that colour or something like that, as has been known to happen. But the arm has a good articulation on it. Goes around, moves around, swivels, does all the things a robotic arm needs to do. So yeah, the astronauts will be well prepared with that. This is the little Martian test scene you get with this set. So just some rocks, there's the map I showed you, and this is the new for this year Geode piece. Let's have a look at that in more detail. This is the Geode piece close up. You can see you get this bit of a sparkle on the outside. I've got all my lights up here. I've got extra lights in trying to do this piece justice. It's stunning, look at that. Lego's going to get a lot of good use out of this, but look at the inside of that. It's so sparkly. Really, really happy with this piece. You get 2 of these in the set. I think it looks great. I wonder if they will find something like this on Mars. I'm going to do my best to show you the rocket in proper detail, but you can see the shape and the height of it. It's quite hard to actually show you properly. Here it is on the launch pad. I'll start by showing you this really cool feature. When the rocket takes off, those just pull away. What a super simple mechanism Lego's made there. You can see just how the rocket sits on there and the boosters just push down those 2 arms, and there we are, it's ready. Superb. I think that's such a good design. In terms of the launch pad itself, there's quite a lot goes into this. It's quite layered up. You've got these round pieces here and it's pretty solidly built. These 2 arms obviously sit just on a bit of Technic there that moves in. I will say one thing, when I was putting these together, you make this piece, attach it to the base, plate it in, then you make these pieces and slide them in. You see there's a Technic pin in there. When you push that Technic pin in, it actually pushes that bottom plate out there, so it's actually, you end up having to take the thing apart to push it down properly. It's not the best organized in terms of that. You do get, there's a cool piece in there I can't get to now, I would show you, but you also get these the cooling sprays you get around rockets, the gas kind of H2O spray that's going on around rockets that just helps to keep them cool on the launch pad. In terms of the launch arm, just these support pieces with the piping here goes in. I'm a little disappointed there was no way for this to actually attach more physically to the rocket, but I guess if they'd done that it would have been quite hard to actually detach it and do the blast off takeoff stuff. And now the rocket. Now I'm going to lie it down like this because it's actually easier for me to film it for you, because I can actually play around with it and show you better the detail. So from the bottom, as I showed you just now, you got this hole in the middle, and I confess I did wonder why you had roof pieces on the bottom. It makes perfect sense when you see how it slots in and sits on the pad. So you've got the 4 booster rockets, which are just like the NASA launch vehicle that it's based off of. You've got the 2 booster rockets here with these nice colour schemes. You've got the mid cargo section up the top here, and then you've got the cockpit at the top. Now to actually remove each section, let's start with the cockpit first. You actually have to take these tiles off here. So they didn't want to take any chances, and one on the bottom there, they didn't want to take any chances of any of this coming apart while you're playing with it. So you do that, and then it just plops apart. Technic pins, as you can see, so you can't ever guarantee which one's going to come off in which direction, unfortunately. That's how it's come off in this case. Now the actual cockpit itself, there's a lot more going into this than you would expect. So you can see there's some bits here. It's almost like it's meant to be a hatch through or something like that. I don't think it is, but that's sort of what it's going to. Nice use of the orange here. The nose cone here is really good. It's quite well built because it's got, again, there's a pin all the way through that one. Makes it look very practical. In terms of the interior here, this all comes apart, and then there is room for 2 astronauts in there apparently. They are going to be very, very friendly by the end of that. I don't think there is room for 2 astronauts in there. Next up we have the cargo module. Again, we're going to take the 2 plates off of there. So here we have, again, comes off, the pins came off correctly this time. So just a simple, these are massive pieces here. So it's actually not brick built or anything like that. It's actually this piece here is an entire section. I haven't seen that piece before. I'm sure they've used it before, but it's just tiled again with the slopes on the bottom. And then this middle bit just comes away here, and there is the satellite inside. So pretty simple. That's big pieces which is why the part count is quite low, but I'll talk about that in a minute. Here we have the satellite. So again, we've got that same 4 studs, the 4 tiles with the pin that was used in the rover. The actual satellite itself is pretty simple. The satellite panels come out and they can twist in whichever direction, but one really neat thing is there's a magnifying glass inside. So this is a telescope satellite, obviously, as it said in the description for the set, but there's the magnifying glass inside, so that's really neatly done. I like the overall design of it. It's very good, very practical. Could actually be a real satellite. Wonder if it's based on something. So that just sits back in there quite neatly. I'll put it in the right way. Just sits sideways in there like that. It's not going to clip in because I'm doing a live video now. There we go, and back to one. And then we get down to the final section here, the actual launch stage. So again, the boosters just come away. Again, Technic pins holding it all together. Different to those that have this sort of docking collar piece that's used in a few places on this and a lot of the space sets. They both just come away like that, nothing more than that. And then in here, there is actually a space in there if you want to store something. Obviously, that would be full of booster fuel and moving parts to actually make the rocket take off. So you wouldn't actually use that one, but you could put something in there if you want, maybe another satellite or something like that. Although that being said, it's meant to actually re-enter and never actually make it into space. So that's how that works. It all goes back together nice and easily. So we'll just put that back together, put these tiles back on. So as I said, Lego is taking no chances of this coming apart while you're playing with it, which I think is good, because we all know swooshability is a very important part of any play with Lego spaceships or rockets or planes. Here we have the command center. I will say this is actually bigger than I expected, and it also surprised me with some bits that I hadn't expected to work as well as they did. I didn't look at any of the promotional stuff for this set before I bought it. I just looked at it and loved it. So I will go through this as if you don't know those pieces either. First of all, this whole top panel comes away really neatly. It just sits on these 2 posts here and just sits in there, just using a couple of these. Sits perfectly in there, absolutely brilliant, and that's solid. That's not coming away in a hurry. I do like how they've done that one. It actually splits in 2 as well, so you can get into the command center here, so you can actually open it up like that if you want to. It has some really cool features on this side, which I'll go through in a second, but first I just want to show you these 2 desks in here. So pretty simple builds, 2 desks for the launch controller and one of the scientists here. We can see they can watch what's going on facing away from the rocket because all the important stuff is up on the screens there. Just 2 printed screens, computer screens, and the keyboards in there. Very simple desks, nothing much to write home about. You do get this nice approach to the door here with a keypad on the outside, so you can't get into launch control without knowing that. Now the really fun bit, let's open this up again. This side here has a couple of really good hidden features, but first let's have a look at those stickers. I love the detail in there. I think that's really, they've done a very well printed sticker there. When I took it off and put it on, I'm happy with how it went on because there's no smears, there's no marks under it. So kudos either to me for putting it on that way, or they designed it very well to work going on here. Now if you don't know the Windex trick as well, use the Windex trick if you're at all worried about it. Personally, I use the brick separator, which you can see in my real build video if you watch that one. Now there are 2 features in this. Let's get in really close and personal on here. The right hand screens have a little bit here which shows the orbit of the rocket and the satellite there going around. You just spin the wheel behind and there it goes around and around. On the other side, we have a countdown which goes 3, 2, 1, 0. And you'll notice how perfectly I did that. Look at that, every time. I can just nail it. I don't even have to think about it. I can get it in there every single time. Alright, I'll be honest, that was Lego's engineers got that to work. If you look behind here, there's actually this little entire mechanism for doing the countdown. It's very, Very clever. You've got this rubber piece up here, you've got the pin down there, the cake pieces, the cake toppers, whatever those are called, the cream cakes, whatever they are. But you can see it just perfectly sits every single time. You can't get it wrong. It's superb. And then just the dial there for turning the orbits. You'll also notice this hole here. Now that's so you can put your phone in there. Let's have a little run through of that one. I'll show you it quickly. Now here we have the Lego City Explorers app that goes with this set. I don't think I'm breaching any copyrights by doing this. Lego, I apologise if I shouldn't be showing this, but I want to show my viewers how this works. So there's various things. There's missions down here. I'm not going to go through it in detail now, but that wasn't working for me just now. But this launch thing works perfectly. So you've got these cameras here. You've got the state of the rocket itself here, so you can actually check in on it. It does these little videos. Let's abort the takeoff. Okay, now the idea is that you can slide this into here and do a couple of things quite fiddly, including launch the rocket. So let's do a launch. So we'll count down. And you can see my phone is quite large for the space, but I really like the idea of what they've tried to do with this. The camera's flicking through. Here comes our launch. And we have a successful launch from the Lego City Spaceport. I do like what they've tried to do there. Now obviously you can use that app on its own. I'm going to stop there with that. But that's the idea of that one, which is a really interesting play feature. I like how they're trying to bring the digital and the physical together, and you actually have to involve the set to do that one. I do wonder if some of the newer augmented reality stuff is going to make it into sets like this in the future if they're planning to upgrade, and that's actually just a step in that direction. But I digress. Let's get back to reviewing the rest of this set. So you can see the rest of that build. It's got these nice panels here. I do like those sort of corrugated panels. Around the back, not a lot to talk about except for this awesome mechanism for doing the countdown, which I think is superb. There's a big open space here. They could have probably put something, or they could have had something you can slot in there, so that would be quite easy to fill in, I think, just to make it a bit more interesting. And then round here is where the pilots come in. So let's bring the monorail in. Here we are with the monorail connected up to the command center. So you can see there's a walkway up here where the astronauts and the scientists can get into the command center. The actual way this is done is quite interesting. There's a car, one of the like quad bike style mud flat pieces that you quite often see there is behind there. The steps, there's not a lot to write home about there. Now you can see the astronauts are in there, so I presume what happens is the astronauts are supposed to go in here and then get in there and then get in there. Now you may have noticed there's a bit of a lever at the back there, and let's just do that really satisfying thing where first let's put the gate up here so the monorail, so it goes all the way around the track, and then we'll push the lever here, and it has just enough momentum to get over that if you push it properly. So if you do, there. As you can tell, you have to push it a little bit to get it to go over that lump, but once it goes really smoothly, as the monorail does. I have to say, I absolutely love the monorail, and I love how much Lego is using it. My table's a bit slippery. There you go. Oh, it just glides off the edge there. It's so beautifully done. You've got the gate halfway down, so obviously the monorail doesn't go around too close to the rocket, because you don't want to go around there when the rocket's about to take off or is doing some tests or something. So that's a good idea. Safety third, as they say. The actual roller coaster car / monorail are quite simple. Just this nice blue and white build with the two joysticks at the front there to make it for controlling the speed of the cars, obviously, and then this little bumper on the front there. That's it, nothing more, just some headlights. Very simple. Comes in this nice blue colour. Not a lot else you can say about that, but it is nice. Here's our two astronauts looking ready for takeoff. Both have the same body prints, both have the same leg prints, so as you would expect the astronaut suits. Their helmets are those really cool white with the blue, like, it's hard to describe them. They've got this big sort of headpiece on the top there. They're really quite cool, I really like them. Around the back, not a lot to write home about in terms of the actual prints, But they do have these rocket packs, and the helmets have this sort of double print here as well, which is really cool. And they both have a second face there, the guy looking a little bit worried, and the female astronaut looking a bit cheeky, going, come on, let's get into space. These are the two scientists. The first one has a bit of a sort of Harry Potter kind of look to his face there. He's got the waistcoat on, he's got a tie, the grey legs, and a nice hairpiece. Not a lot to write home there. The female one has a kind of, let's just lift up her camera a second, has this sort of cool lab coat on underneath there. I like that. A lot of detail with the badge and her pens and things going on there. She's got this really cool SLR here. So it's just a camera piece with a cylinder attached to it and an extra stud in there, an extra round stud. The face piece has the glasses and that great hair piece. On the girl, just some tuck in there, line, not a lot to write home about. Same on this guy here, he's just got a bit of a crease in the middle there. You can see the female scientist does get a second face there, not dissimilar to the front one. The guy doesn't get one for some reason, which is a surprise. Here we have the launch engineer and the mechanic. Launch engineer gets a nicely printed piece there with a coat. The cravat on there, she's got a mobile phone. I love that hairpiece. I've got several sets with that in. I think it's a great piece. And then the glasses there. She looks like she's fully in control of this launch. And then there's the mechanic there. He looks a bit like he's a bit stressed and a bit angry. He's got his goggles on though because he's out there in the trenches with his badge. That's a nice printed piece. I like his body there. I think that's just enough detail to be interesting. The printing just carries on around the back. The coat's got a bit of shaping in terms of the shadows there, and the engineer has some, just the lines carry on around, but nothing else to write home about. Neither of these two figures get a second face. Not technically a minifigure, but he's about the same size as the minifigure, and I just think he's really cool, so I'm going to throw him in here as the 7th minifigure in this set. As you can see, he's got 2 arms, he's got 2 eyes, he's got 4 wheels. Wait, shouldn't they have legs? Here we have a side profile view, so you can see those arms. There's no printing on the side here that you can see. Just the 2 power tools on the back, well, the spanner and the power tool. Surprisingly, this doesn't get a second face on the back there. Alright, enough being silly. I'll get on finishing my review. As is the way with any Lego set, you do get some spare pieces, and I've included the brick separator because it's the same turquoisey one that you got with Emmett's Dream House. So there's not much to write home about in here. You do get a control panel there. You've got this face piece from the robot. Now that's good piece. I like that one. Just tires, arms, a couple of gold pieces going on. One of the cake decoration pieces. I love anything with orange. That's great. A clear tile. So nothing particularly exceptional, but all useful pieces for detailing. Like I said, I really enjoyed building this set, and I hope you can tell that I'm really happy with the end result of this set. There's a whole lot of playability built into it, and I especially like how you can configure it the way you want. There's scope to move that monorail track around and have a play with it. You can do lots of different things with this one, and you can go to an entire other planet with that big rocket if you really want to. In terms of value, here in Australia, this set's $160 RRP, which for 837 pieces is quite high if you look at the part ratio. But there's a lot of big pieces in here. In that rocket, there's several big pieces. You've got all that big pieces of glass in there. There's lots of the support pieces, the monorail track. So yes, it is a high part to price ratio, but there is a lot going on here. So I think maybe it could have been a little bit cheaper, but the 160 mark seems to be a fairly common price here in Australia. But would I recommend this set? That's the important thing. I definitely would. I love it. I think it's a great set. I'm looking forward to playing with this one with my kids. It's got so many fun pieces to it. You get a great set of minifigures in there. The robot's great. I think the robot's cracking. I think the rover's great. The rocket looks fantastic. The command center's great. And anything with roller coaster is good in my books. And let's not forget the most important thing. It's Lego Space! Come on! You can tell I like Lego Space from that, can't you? Anyway, let me know what you think of this set in the comments below. Do you think you'll be getting it? Is it one that's on your wish list? Are you umming and ahhing about it? Or maybe you've decided you're going to get it now from seeing how much I love it and talking about it. Is there something that could be better in this set? There's definitely a few things that I would improve, and I may well improve when I have a chance. Now, don't forget to give this video a like and let YouTube know you enjoyed it. And I will be doing a follow-up video of this one where I place it in my city. So be sure to hit subscribe if you're new here so you can watch that video too. Now, here's a couple more videos from my channel that I think you'll enjoy watching. Thank you so much, and I will speak to you again very soon.